Welcome back to my channel. This is Trans Guy Reacts, and I'm Nick, and I make videos about women's basketball, collegiate or professional. And today I want to talk about the games that are going on in the WNBA. I'm going to do a recap of the games, although I will say that I won't always do recaps of every single game every day, but I'll recap the ones that I find the most interesting or that are on League Pass. This is the preseason, so not everything is going to be televised or available online, but I'll try my best to cover as much as I can. Today I want to talk about it's Saturday, May 4th. This video will come out the next day, and if you saw my recap yesterday, you saw that I'm wearing the same shirt. That's none of your business. Anywho, let's get to the game. So Mystics versus Dream. That game was not televised, unfortunately. But what I can say, based on the box score, is that for the Mystics, everyone played and scored except for Jackie Brown Turner, and for the Dream, everyone played except for Lorelai Kabaj, and all scored. Everybody scored, but no one was in double figures. It was like an equal contribution across the board, and I think they had a lot of turnovers, but still came out with the win. The Dream won 84-87, so they won by only 3 points. It was a very close game, and I think that's going to be the future. It was like this last year, the season, almost every game was close. Like, most games were not blowouts. There were a few blowouts. Most games were like under 8 points difference, and a lot of them were like under 5. So I see this being the standard going forward. But the big game that was on, that everyone was talking about, was the Canada game in Edmonton, Alberta. It was the Seattle Storm versus the Los Angeles Sparks. I did watch the pregame press conference. There is a postgame press conference. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't really have anything to say about that. But excuse me. What I will say is you couldn't hear the reporters, but you could hear the players. You could hear the coaches fine. It was just a press conference for the coaches. Noelle Quinn did mention that Nika Mule wasn't there due to a visa issue, so that's not surprising. I think she's from Croatia, and like when you have a visa for a certain country, you're not usually allowed to leave for other countries. So, and it takes a lot of time to get the visa, so I'm not surprised. And this is just one game, so it's not that big a deal. Ezzy Magmavor wasn't available either, but I'm not sure why they didn't say. And then I did notice that on the bench was Jordan Horston. She was not dressed, so I'm going to assume she might have an injury. And then when they interviewed Kurt Miller for Los Angeles Sparks, he mentioned that he coached Kia Nurse's aunt and sister, and Kia Nurse is Canadian, by the way, and so he coached both of them, and he tried to recruit Kia in college, but she went to UConn. She was more interested in that program, but he's happy that he gets to coach her now. He's had that connection to the Nurse family for 30 years. Crazy. And Kia Nurse is from Hamilton, Ontario. So they got that connection, and there was a lot of focus on Kia for this game. It was pretty cute. They were doing a lot for her. Also, during this press conference, the audio did go out once for each coach. It was very brief, but it did go out, and it just makes me irritated. There's always some like technical glitch. Anywho, so the game starts. They do the introductions. The players that got the loudest reaction from the crowd was Cameron Brink, which is interesting because she's a rookie, but like, hey, she has the appeal from college and the online presence. And then Kia Nurse, obviously, because she's Canadian, so everyone was like, yeah, so excited, so it was great. And it was very clear that even though this was there was no home team, and technically Seattle is closer to Canada than LA in terms of geography, the crowd was definitely cheering for Los Angeles Sparks, and that's because Kia Nurse was on that team. But they did cheer when Seattle made really cool plays, but for the most part they were pushing for LA. Cam was in the starting lineup, which I thought was interesting, and then Kia did the intro for the game, which was kind of cute and a little weird, but she did it. She was like a little spokesperson. It was short and sweet, so it's fine. Noelle Quinn, I found out while the analysts were talking, Noelle Quinn was the lead assistant coach for the Canadian national team. So she has like the Canadian connection as well. It's like crazy. I love all the intricacies of players and where they're playing and stuff. Thing that I will note about the game is that the vets were going off. It was definitely in the beginning. It was like the veterans set the tone and like really showed how you play WNBA basketball, and it was dominant and it was beautiful. Later on in the game, they started putting in the rookies and the younger folks because those people need to earn a roster spot, so they need to get the experience. So they didn't play their vets towards the end of the game, which is fine. And then Cam Brink and Rakia Jackson were scoring in the first quarter, both of them. Even though Rakia came off the bench, she was scoring really great. During the breaks, they had these during the commercial breaks, they had these like little vignettes of like WNBA history, or like little clips from the draft, or like letting you know what's going on with other teams. Like the Phoenix Mercury is getting a new facility, so they were showing that and stuff. So, and Kia Nurse was wired for the entire game, so you heard little clips of her going, doing her thing. It was cute. I would say my analysis of the game was like both teams looked decent. It was definitely a little chaotic on the LA side. There were a lot of turnovers, and there were 18 turnovers at the half for LA. And Kurt Miller did say something about like it wasn't going to be pretty basketball, and it wasn't. It wasn't. But hey, they did what they need to do. Um, nope. But all players seemed suited for their teams. So like people did gel well together. It wasn't that bad, but I think it's going to be really hard for these coaches to cut people because they're going to have to cut a lot of people. There was a great Skylar Diggins Smith to Jewel Lloyd alley oop. Oh, it was so nice. It was so beautiful. It was like taking them back to their Notre Dame days. They played 1 year together in Notre Dame, so that was kind of cool. It was a great play. And I would say on the LA side, Lexi Brown and Lasia Clarendon are the better point guards for that team. Zaya Cook is okay, but her size gets her knocked down a lot. Like literally, she gets like knocked down often because she's so small. But I see a lot of potential there, and like as they develop her more, she's going to be a fantastic guard. At the halftime, they were doing their little vignettes and stuff like that, but they did like do a whole. They showed the entire section of like when Caitlin Clark got drafted, like the entire thing. It was so weird. It was like, why are we? It was like literally like 5 minutes. It was like, why are we focusing on this? It's kind of weird. It has nothing to do with this game. Whatever. They did show clips of other players during the draft, but not them getting drafted. Not the whole damn thing. So I was just like, WNBA, when you can't, the forcing Caitlin down everyone's fucking throat every time there's anything we're talking about the WNBA is a little much. It's like, I get it, she's bringing a lot of eyeballs, but this game has nothing to do with her. So it was just a little frustrating. There's like, I like her game, but I don't like how she's being covered. It's too freaking much, yo. It's like, chill. There are other amazing players in the league, yo. Oh my god. The marketing in the WNBA is terrible. Phil Cook is the chief marketing officer, and oh my god, he's a nothing burger. This dude has been in the job, this is his 4th year, and he was in an interview for Yahoo Sports, and he said that the first 3 years were a wonderful learning experience. It was like a 3-year internship. A 3-year internship. This motherfucker had the nerve to say that out loud and on record. So he's getting paid hundreds of $1,000s to learn, to figure things out. Like, why are you here? Oh, executives. And he's coming from Nike, and he did not have a marketing position, like this kind of chief level position before. This is a new role for him, and I'm like, you can tell. A lot of the people that are in positions of power in the marketing team, I do not know if they are the right people to be doing this. I think the commissioner is great. She's bringing a lot of dollars. She's bringing a lot of eyeballs. That's her job, is to work and bring the money and bring the brand partnerships. But the marketing departments, the corporate level marketing departments are not good. They're not fucking good. And we're having to rely on the teams, the individual teams, social medias teams, to put out good quality content, and not all teams have like a really good budget for that. And I haven't seen anything from Washington Mystics on social media. Like, not really. I barely see anything. There's a whole bunch of teams like that. I'm just like, some teams do a great job and a lot of teams do a terrible job, and it's like, you need to give the social media teams a budget from the corporate, not from each individual. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Let me get back to this. Anyway, I did love the other coverage, the other little vignettes. There was a lot of WNBA history covering Candace, covering Becky Hammond, covering Tina Thompson. That was fantastic. I love that because I want the new fans, the new casual fans, to see that the WNBA has been amazing since it started. Not just this new class of rookies. Like, they're not the defining factor. They're going to make a lot of mistakes. They have a lot to learn, but they're going to be fantastic for the league. But there was already a league 28 years before this, so give them the respect. I would say for the analysts, for the game, they were okay. They're a little boring, to be honest, but I mean, that's fine. They were okay. I've never, I don't watch any Canadian sports, so I've never heard of them before, but they were fine. They were totally fine. Another really cool moment was Cameron Brink blocking Jade Melbourne's shot. That was sick. It was like just a beautiful shot, beautiful block, and she did a great job of not getting her body involved in just her arm. She's just so long. Girl's got the longest arms. I can't. She is like pro ready. I mean, Tara Vanderveer really does a great job of preparing her players for pro, and yeah, I love it. I love to see it. For LA, I did notice that Azure Stevens wasn't dressed, and Julie Alamon wasn't there at all. She's European, so she might have been overseas, so that is probably part of it. They did do a little couple seconds of showing Tammy Sutton Brown in the audience, and she's Canadian, Hall of Famer, and she played 12 years with the WNBA, and she won a championship with the Indiana Fever and Tamika Catching. So I do remember Tammy Sutton Brown when I was a kid. I remember seeing her play. I remember her hearing her name and stuff. So it was really great to give her a little bit of recognition. Love to see it. All in all, it was a very close game. There were little runs here and there, but for the most part, it was pretty tight. But it ended with Los Angeles Sparks winning 84-79. And they did a little post-game interview with Kia Nurse, which was cute as well. Looking at the box score and how many people played. So Seattle, everyone who could play did play, and all scored except for Quay Miller. But she was only in the game for under 7 minutes, like 6.5 minutes, and she was. It was like at the end of the game, so it's like hard to get like a rhythm. It's like, so that's kind of unfair to her, I think. But she did affect the ball. She had I think she had some blocks or some rebounds, so she did fine. But she just didn't have enough time to like create a shot or even get the ball in her hand that much. Jewel Lloyd, Skylar Diggins-Smith, and Sammy Whitcomb all had double-digit scores, but they they sat them down. Oh, and Joyner, did I say Joyner Holmes? And Joyner Holmes also had double digits. So 4 players had double digits for Seattle. With LA had everyone played who could, but many players didn't score, so it's kind of surprising that they won. Ari McDonald, Stephanie Talbot, Blake Dietrich, and who, by the way, was on the floor quite a bit, I felt. She did have a couple steals, but I kind of felt she was on the floor a little too much. She was making a lot of mistakes. And Taylor Mikesell and Mackenzie Forbes both got on the floor, but only for like 2-3 minutes. So like they didn't have any chance to really make their shot. I don't even know if Mackenzie even got a chance to put the ball in her hand. So that felt a little unfair. And the players who were in double digits were Rakia Jackson, Lexi Brown, Cameron Brink, and De'Erica Hambry. So all of those were in double digits. So yeah, it was a fantastic game. I really have no complaints about this. I enjoyed watching it. It was fun. Can't wait for more games and for the real. This is preseason. These games don't even count. Like, this doesn't even count on their like record sheet. It's crazy, but they were playing hard. They were playing well, and it was fun to watch. So really excited about the future and can't wait for more games. If you like this content, please go ahead and share, and subscribe. Help me grow the channel. I don't allow comments. I don't really want to deal with that. People are incredibly negative and feel like their opinion is the most valuable. It's like they feel like the comment section is a privilege, not a right. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. I do this out of the goodness of my heart. I just love women's basketball, and if you rock with that, you rock with that, and if you don't, you don't. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.